Well, this one came out completely out of nowhere, really, on Friday evening at a time when we're desperately looking for stories of West Ham players or West Ham signing players. We're faced with yet another story of a player potentially leaving. According to a breaking report from French outlet Foot Mercato, Brentford have made an opening bid for West Ham's left back El Hadji Malick Diouf. Just 12 months after arriving from Slavia Prague, could he already be on his way out? Look, the story emerged late on Friday evening with very little detail beyond the claim that Brentford have submitted a formal opening offer to West Ham for the Senegalese international. And apparently, club to club negotiations are now underway. The report states that Brentford are pushing hard to complete a deal as they look to strengthen their left back position. Why would they be going for him otherwise? And they believe that Duth fits perfectly into the club's well-established data-driven recruitment model. And if there's one club whose recruitment deserves respect, I guess it's Brentford's. We think Brentford, the three Bs, Brentford, Brighton and Bournemouth. When you think about the way they've identified players in the past, players that not everyone is aware of, then they develop them and then they go on to make huge profits when they sell them. So when Brentford show an interest in a player, it's usually worth paying attention to. However, he's not an unknown, is he? Because West Ham did at Brentford this time last year, where we found Malik Diouf and we brought him to West Ham United. And at the time, in the summer of 2025, we paid Slavia Prague a fee of around £19 million. Now, he signed a 5-year contract, which runs until June 2030, and West Ham hold an option for a further year. At the time, he was regarded, he probably still is regarded, as one of Europe's most exciting young fullbacks after helping Slavia Prague win the Czech League title. Malik endured, however, for me, a very mixed first season at West Ham United. Don't know what you think, but I certainly thought it was kind of it wasn't what we were expecting. He did make 34 appearances in all competitions. He started 31 of them and contributed 5 goals. 5 assists, which kind of tells you he established himself as the first choice left back. But, and I mean it in a very respectful way, the competition that he had was Ollie Scholes, who he himself has struggled to hold that left back spot down for himself. However, Malik was selected to represent Senegal at the World Cup as well. But after starting the first 2 games, which were in defeat to Norway and France, he was then benched for the 5-0 win over Iran before coming on as a second half sub in the defeat to Belgium, which knocked them out of the competition. Now, as far as his performances for West Ham are concerned, when he first arrived, we were expecting this swashbuckling, no fear, attacking left back, who we were told had a wand of a left foot and who could deliver fantastic crosses. But I don't think we ever saw the best version of him. And that may have been down to the way he was utilised, first by Graham Potter and then by Nuno. Despite providing 5 assists, I kind of think we all expected to see much more of his attacking side. But in fairness to the young lad, adapting to Premier League football at the age of 21 is never easy, especially when you come from a league abroad. Now, I've got to be honest, I'm genuinely torn on this particular story. 1 year in the Premier League will have been a steep learning curve for him, and I think he could be a hugely valuable player for us in the Championship this coming season. But let's not forget, he's already played Champions League football, Europa League football during his time at Slavia Prague. He's continued to play international football since his move to West Ham, and the player himself may well believe he's simply too good for the Championship. But I'm not so sure. When it comes to comparing his domestic football career to date, look, he did exceptionally well at Slavia Prague, helping them win the league, but I think he struggled in the Premier League last season. And it wouldn't be unfair to suggest that Championship football is certainly a higher caliber than that of Czech football, and perhaps the step up to Premier League football from the Czech League may have been a lot to ask of the player. However, the Championship, we know it's fast, it's more physical, it's got far greater depth than Czech football. And that's why I think another season with West Ham could do Malik the world of good. If he can dominate in the Championship, he'll be an even better player when West Ham hopefully return to the Premier League at the end of this coming season. Clearly, however, Brentford see a player, see a value in the player, and perhaps they think, or not perhaps, they certainly do think that he's ready for another crack at the Premier League this season, this coming season, and not in a year's time. And maybe it's me that's doing the player a disservice because let's be honest, we were pretty crap last season, which kind of hindered or could have hindered Malik's game. However, Brentford are unlikely to have a free run at Malik. Foot Mercato have claimed that a number of other clubs across both the Premier League and Europe are monitoring his situation, meaning West Ham could yet again find themselves at the centre of a bidding battle if we indicate any willingness to sell. Now, the key question is whether West Ham have any intention of entertaining any offers. I don't know that just yet. On paper, we're not particularly well stocked at left back. I've already mentioned Ollie Scholes, and there's also the highly rated Ezra Myers, but they're still both learning their trade as well. And they've not been able to knock Malik off his starting berth. Look, both Ollie Scholes and Ezra Myers are very talented prospects with bright futures, but they're not even at the level of Malik Diouf at this moment in time. There's also the bigger picture surrounding Daniel Kretinsky and Nuno and Niels Koppen in regards to the squad rebuild. Since Kretinsky assumed control, the club have kind of spoken about or repeatedly spoken about building around key players and building around a younger squad. A younger squad with a resale value rather than continuing to bring out aging stars. Now, Diouf fits that profile perfectly. At 21 years of age, he's an established international. He's got Premier League experience, he's got Champions League and Europa League experience, and his market value could continue to rise over the next 2 or 3 seasons, especially if we bounce straight back to the Premier League. Now, on the other hand, West Ham have already shown this summer that every player has got a price. The club has sanctioned the lucrative departures of Matthias Fernandes for 85 million and Crescencio Somerville for 55 million plus a further 10 million in add-ons. And if Brentford or any other club is interested, if they were to submit a substantial bid way above what West Ham paid 12 months ago, then the hierarchy at West Ham are almost certainly going to have a decision to make. Personally, I don't think West Ham should even consider any offers below 30 million pounds. Laugh, but then everybody laughed at the 85 million we wanted for Fernandes and the 55 to 60 million that we wanted for Somerville. We paid around 19 million pounds only a year ago. Diouf is still only 21 years of age. He's a Senegal international. He's tied down to a long-term contract. He can become a quality left back with his profile, and it'll be incredibly difficult to replace. Now, that may sound expensive, 30 million pounds, but West Ham have already demonstrated this summer that they're not going to entertain low-ball bids. If clubs want our best young talent, then they're going to have to pay properly for it. Of course, selling Duth would also create another problem because left back would immediately become another position that would need to strengthen, which is added to a central midfielder because we've lost Fernandes, left-sided attacking player because we've lost Somerville, an attacking player or a striker because Wilson is gone. And of course, we need a centre-back with Disasi having gone as well. So Malik's departure could be yet another position that we need to go out and look for replacement for. Look, at this stage, though, there's no indication that West Ham are actively looking to sell the player. The report simply states that Brentford have lodged an opening bid and discussions are taking place. Whether those talks develop may kind of ultimately depend on a couple of other questions that only people inside West Ham will know the answers to. Is Malik Diouf viewed by Daniel Kretinsky, by Nuno, by Niels Koppen and the recruitment team as one of the foundations of West Ham's long-term project? Or is he yet another valuable asset whose sale could fund further strengthening elsewhere in the squad? Personally, I can genuinely see arguments both ways. Keep him, and I think you've got the potential to have one of the Championship's best left backs next season. Sell him for 30 million or even more, and suddenly you've got the money to strengthen 2, 3 positions in the squad. Now, I'm interested to see what you think. If Brentford come tomorrow with a 30 million offer, if that's what we get to hear, I'm not suggesting it's 30 million. What I'm saying is I think we should be looking at that sort of price. But if they come in with a 30 million offer, would you take the money, or would you tell them thanks but no thanks? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I have a feeling this one could probably divide opinion amongst West Ham fans. Some will want to see him go, others will want to see him stay. If you've enjoyed the channel, please do hit the like button. I forgot to put my QR code. There's a QR code that's just appeared in the top corner. If you've enjoyed the content, click on that. Takes you to the subscription page. Subscription is free of charge. So why not become a subscriber of the West Ham Voice? Hit the like button. There's a bell notification as well when you become a subscriber to let you know when I'm next on. And there's also a hype button, which you can click, which allows this video to be viewed by other viewers on YouTube. Thank you for watching. This one's going to be an interesting one to see how it pans out. Thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you all again soon.